Welcome to Chatting the Pictures. My name is Kara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw, writer, a psychologist, and also publisher of Reading the Pictures.
This photo is a major reflection of how much trouble the former president is in, and at the same time, a perfect snapshot of Trump as an attention seeker.
Mary Altaffer took this photo for AP. It shows former President Trump being escorted to a courtroom in New York on April 4th, 2023, during his trial for falsifying Trump Organization business records. Special counsel investigations into Trump since 2020 have cost taxpayers over $13 million, and OpenSecrets estimates that Trump's political operation has spent up to $130 million in legal fees over that time. At least 5 major federal and state prosecutions are in progress or pending against him.
My initial reading of this image really needs to be contextualized within this nearly year-long visual saga of Trump's legal troubles. And this image really nicely encapsulates that in a number of ways. You have this very dark background. The windows are dark. Many of the figures themselves are dressed in dark colors. And then you have the metal lines of the door and the windows in the background. You know, it's almost like a grid. They look like the bars of a jail cell, perhaps. And then when you look in the foreground, you see the metal barrier again with sort of that echo. So there's a way to read this image, I think, as has Trump finally been caught? And then we see Trump himself, he's emerging through that open door. He's the only figure in the photograph that's really kind of fully lit. He's got that trademark scowl and he's looking right at the photographer. At the same time, though, he's giving us this scowl that's really akin to the other images of him taken in the courtrooms these last several months, his famous mugshot image as well. So there's a way to read this photo as asking the question, has Trump finally been taken down?
I had forgotten all those images that I had looked at almost every day during his administration. And this picks up some of these same characteristics where he is absolutely the center of attention and everyone else is sublimated. The way that open door highlights him, even that officer in the foreground looking his way, it's vintage Trump, all the world's a stage.
This photo was made in the spring, several months ago, but it's really not hard to read the image in light of the way that Trump's presidential campaign has developed, the way it's continued seemingly without consequence, despite these legal issues. There's no Republican challengers competing anywhere near him in the polls, for example. I look at this photo really in the context of the things he's been saying very openly during his campaign. He's been using this authoritarian, anti-democratic rhetoric. He's claimed, for example, that he will weaponize the Justice Department to bring down his enemies. He has said he will unleash the military on political protesters. And so when you think about that context, the photo becomes a little more complicated or a little bit different. Except for that one guy in the foreground that you mentioned who's looking back at Trump, I'm really interested in the fact that no one else in the photo seems to be looking directly at him. No one appears to be too focused on him in a way. There has been a lot of critique of mainstream media in recent days and weeks asking the question, why are you not paying explicit attention to the kind of authoritarian rhetoric Trump has been using? He's visually out there all the time, but what is he actually doing? And is the media actually paying attention?
This man is in serious trouble. If that was anybody else, this photo would have a completely different vibe. But I look at it and I keep thinking about the parallel universe, imagining the way Trump's followers look at this photo. And with Trump playing the victim, playing the martyr to the hilt, I can see how much it reinforces Trump's authoritarian narrative. When you scan the impressive display of law enforcement from one edge of the photo to the other, and you consider that display in the context of Trump's Strongman Act, the security officers can appear as much like his enforcers, especially the officer in front of him gripping his belt in that wide face-front, dead-eyed stance.
It's really not that hard to read this image as a photo of Trump as the one being kept safe and secure by a large group of armed men. The photo might be asking us a question it doesn't really answer definitively. Are these men protecting us from Trump, or are they protecting Trump from us?